Hello, all, and thank you for being here. It's a bright, sunny afternoon in the city of Gurgaon. Actually, it's becoming quite hot. So, thank you for being here, all of you, in on this on at this time from wherever you are. Thank you. And the first question that was posed to me was the struggles or the challenges that I had from a freelancing perspective. So let me just tell you that I did not get into freelancing by my choice. Um, it happened because of the fact that my father fell seriously ill with upper paralysis, a condition known as Guillain-Barré syndrome, and there was nobody to take care of him. And that's when I decided to give up my corporate career and start and care for him. And that's when I started my freelance career, writing for one client a few content pieces. And so I worked with him for about 2 years, and he liked my work. I continued working with him for a while, and once the work was done, he was able to connect me with other people because he liked what I did, and that's how my journey began. And honestly, I think I quite enjoy what I'm doing because it gives me a lot of time. It gives me a lot of time for my family. It gives me a lot of time for my home. It gives me a lot of time for myself. So yeah, from a struggles perspective, I was at the head of an administration position. I was doing well. Uh, it was there was a lot of popularity. I was, at the risk of sounding arrogant, I was um, pretty popular. So I was, I really enjoyed what I was doing. I liked being among people. I liked the hustle bustle of going to work in the morning, doing everything, coming back. But then from that, coming down to sitting in one corner of my house and just putting my head down and writing and writing and writing with absolutely no interaction except my people from home and you know uh, the clients once in a while. That itself was a bit of a struggle because, from being in the hustle and bustle and then coming down to where nobody is at your head, that takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of resilience to do that work continuously without being answerable to anyone. So, yes, that I believe was took some getting used to. It took a lot of it took a lot of discipline to do. But yeah, I enjoy that as well because when I'm writing, when I'm doing my work, when I'm into the content, I am not alone. I'm surrounded by words, and that is the time that it's absolutely, I'm in there, and therefore I don't feel alone. I don't feel lonely. It's in fact, it's quite invigorating because I've always been somebody who likes to read, who likes to write, and so therefore this is probably something that I've enjoyed even as a child. So yeah, I can say that I'm lucky that way to be doing something that I've always loved. So yes, challenges has been there, but yeah, if you like what you're doing, if you love what you're doing, then things begin to ebb. Okay, so emotional intelligence is an absolutely awe-inspiring and transformative subject, which most people, unfortunately, today are unable to grasp. If you put it simply, emotional intelligence is about understanding, accepting, and managing your emotions. So, when you are aware of yourself, so the first component of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. So that helped me to understand that okay, from moving from a great job to sitting down quietly and doing my work without any of that hustle and bustle, that took a lot of awareness of myself to understand, are you going to be able to do this? Do you have the discipline for it? Will you be able to sit down without the pressure of an office or colleagues or a boss and do what you have to? So that self awareness helped me to understand, if I am feeling out of place, yes, I am feeling out of place. Give yourself a break and move forward. Then comes self regulation, which means that if you are feeling upset, if you are feeling angry, if you are feeling um, whatever the top emotions there are, the top six emotions are anger, sadness, happiness, fear, disgust, and surprise. So whatever you're feeling, once you understand that you those emotions are going through you and you regulate them, then it becomes a lot easier to manage that discipline and remain focused on what you're doing at that time. So yes, when you are focused on how you are what you are experiencing in that time, the words and the thoughts and the emotions come out way better on a piece of, on my laptop when I'm writing, or even if I'm just writing with a pen, the the words and the thoughts come out a lot better. So yes, there were times when I have met um, difficult clients. There were people who have not been that easy to deal with, but then you understand that at that time they are probably going through some emotions. It's not always easy to understand. I'm not saying I'm a saint and that I always understand, no, but then it's easier to understand is what I'm saying, that you quickly are able to move from a state of being annoyed or irritated to one where you are stable, where you can interact with the person even if you don't like someone. I'm not going to say that I've liked all my clients. Great. I mean, that would be a lie. But the fact is, if I'm working, that's the professional level that I need to maintain, and emotional intelligence helps you do that. So the moment you become aware of how you are feeling, what you are going through emotionally, then when you regulate it, then it becomes a lot easier to understand yourself and the other person. As I said, freelancing is can be a lot of fun if you are a disciplined person. If you like to write, then a content creation work is extremely enjoyable. Yes, you have, as I said, you have to change that mindset. My mindset was first that hustle and bustle, constantly running from waking up at 4 in the morning, preparing a meal for the home, then running off to the office, dressing up, running off to the office, then working the entire day, then coming back, then back to the hustle of the office. That has changed. That has slowed down. Therefore you have to have that. I think I was able to overcome that mindset of a hustle and bustle to working quietly, quieting my mind and my heart and making them in sync to ensure that I wrote the best that I could. And yes, I did get a lot of work from word of mouth. That effectively means that I did manage all of that. So soft skills are absolutely critical. You just cannot expect to be a person that is doing his or her job well, or even being in any kind of personal relationship. You cannot do that if your soft skills are messed up. That's a fact. The fact is that if you don't realize that soft skills such as uh, being able to have interpersonal skills or having emotional intelligence, having intrinsic motivation, having empathy for yourself and for others, if those are missing, there is no education on earth that can help you. That's a fact, and that is not just something I'm saying. These are factual, data based things that I'm telling you. And the fact that I have moved from challenge to challenge, realizing all of this, changing my mindset, it's not like challenges don't come, they're there every day. But when you are able to interact with the other person, understanding that they are also human beings, they are also going through some emotions, then of course sustainability happens. As I said, I've worked for 20 years in the corporate sector. That was a different ball game. For the last 14 years I've been a freelancer. This is a totally different set of uh, ways of thinking, of keeping your mind in check, keeping your heart in check, and ensuring that you have relationships. Well, there are clients I've not met a single client personally, as in a face-to-face physical meeting. I've had interactions only through virtual. So all the clients that I've met, worked with so far, I am proud to say that I've had a relationship with them despite not meeting them personally because of the fact that I do my work well. And I do my work well because I can manage my emotions no matter what's happening on the personal front. That's how business remains sustainable. Every piece of writing is a story, honestly. It is a story. It's whether your own story or it's the story of the client. Um, yeah, I mean, if you are telling a story, if you're using your heart and your head to tell, to convert what's going on here on the paper, on the screen, then you are telling a story. You're telling the story of a client who has built up a business. You're talking to them, you're talking for them. And even though I am a ghostwriter in most cases, I am able to convey the story they are trying to tell through my writing. Definitely, storytelling is an important part of being able to write well. So, no matter how many chat GPTs of the world come today, um, that emotion cannot be captured as of now. That's what it seems, that chat GPT cannot capture the essence of an emotion, of what's going on in the head and what a client is trying to say from a business technical perspective. Of okay, chat GPT can give you a whole lot of stuff. All of these AI tools can give you. I have nothing against the AI tools. All I'm saying is that for storytelling, it's necessary to be able to write what the client is trying to say through your words, understanding what the client is going through, and then you can put it down on, in the number of words that is required. As I said, the biggest challenge that I faced in the early days was, of course, to begin with, only having one client and a very low payout. But since it was my first, from being somebody who was earning a good sum to coming down to somebody who was earning like 80 pies a word, that was a big come down for me. And my, my self respect or my self worth could have easily been hit by that. But what I realized was that it's more important for me to keep a stable mind and to ensure that I continue working. Because if I let a break come between what I was doing then and what I'm doing now, I would have had a tougher time. So I swallowed all of that and I ensured that I continued working at whatever price I was getting. But because I did that, because I put my ego aside, because I put what was hurting aside, and focused on what the client wanted, he was happy enough to refer me to two more clients, and that's how it grew. So yes, being able to sit by myself, have that discipline every morning. I have to open my laptop. I have to write down what the client has asked for. Then take a break. Take Look at the needs of my father. Look at the needs of my home. Then come back to writing with that mindset all shaken up, but then come back to that mindset, write again, write, and keep moving between these two mindsets was definitely challenging. But I managed simply because I was passionate about what I was doing and I knew that I had to make it work for myself. Client rejection is a given. I think as soon as you get into freelancing, you need to understand that client rejection is going to be a part of your journey. There is no way you are going to uh, say that every client you meet uh, is going to take you up, or is going to give you what you want, or is not going to be nasty to you. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to give you any false hopes. I have met with rejection repeatedly, even after working for so long. I have 14 years as a freelancer and 20 years there. Even despite that, I still face rejection. And now I know That's it. I mean, so bad, too bad. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. What do you do about it? You. But when you have high emotional intelligence, I'm telling you, it doesn't hurt that much. When I started off, yes, the moment a client would say no, or they try to beat me down on my price, and it would not work out, it would hurt. I'd be worried for many days. I'd be like, would I be able to get another client? What's going to happen? All of that. But then I realized that if I'm going to sell myself short, if I'm going to not, you know, respect the skills that I have, nobody is going to respect them. So, as I always say, empathy begins with yourself. So, I had empathy for myself. I realized that I have to wait it out. I have to get what I deserve, and then you can move. But yes, client rejections will be there. There is going to be, when ChatGPT came, trust me, everybody wanted to use a ChatGPT and not somebody who wrote content from experience, from expertise, from a skill level. Everybody wanted to save money. And that was the time that the maximum rejections happened. But yeah, it has not affected me as it would have at the beginning of my freelancing career, and I'm quite happy about the fact that okay, if I let some clients go, it's fine, but it doesn't hurt as much because I realize that I have to have empathy with myself. I have to appreciate my skills. I have to understand that maybe the other person does not appreciate the skills, or they cannot, they don't have that kind of bandwidth or the kind of finances, and that's okay. It has nothing to do with me personally. That's something you need to understand. When there's a client rejection, it's not personal. Honestly, you'll have to go with your gut on this one. The top three tips for writing content, this is something you have to go with your gut. You know your client. The first thing that I would say is, before you agree to take up an assignment with a client, ensure you know your client. You know what business they are in. You know what they are expecting of you. Because every business, every um, company has a tone of voice when they are connecting with other people, when they are connecting with their customers, when they are connecting with other companies. There is a tone. So the first thing you have to understand is that, understand the tone of voice that the client wants to use. If you can use the same tone of voice, if you can use the same emotions that the client has been talking to their external people up to now, that's the first thing you need to do, is understand who your client is and what they expect. Second is write with passion. Do not ever write without making adequate research. That will not work because you cannot be an expert on every topic. You just cannot. It's not possible. And if anybody is saying that, that's a lie. Uh, because when I was first approached to write about AI the first time, uh, when AI came about and people were talking about it and people wanted to start writing about it, my client asked me, "Can you write?" And honestly, I had not heard of AI and the way it's supposed to operate in our lives till then. But yes, I said, see, I don't know much about it, but I will research. I will come back to you in a week. Then we can talk about it. And sure enough, I took that week. I understood what AI was all about. I understood what he wanted. And I started writing. So from then to now, I have written, I don't know, more than 50, 60 content pieces just on AI, varying aspects, varying industries, because AI is everywhere today. So yes, and when you write with that understanding, you are able to put in words exactly what the client wants and what the readers would like to read. That itself will connect you emotionally to the reader. You don't have to put fancy words. You don't have to put, uh, you know, words that are emotional, so to speak. But when you write the way that the client wants, what the readers want to hear, you will connect emotionally with your readers. Um, I guess the only time that self doubt really happens is when you have several rejections at once for whatever reason. It's very easy to say, I am the idiot here. But that's when you have to stop and say, no, it's not personal. As I mentioned before, it's not personal. Yes, there are going to be times when people don't appreciate what you do. There are going to be times when people don't even want to hear. So a subject like emotional intelligence is not easy. It's not something that everybody understands or wants to understand, because it's a subject that makes you look inside of you. And that's the problem that most people have. Nobody is wanting to stop and understand, okay, I am so and so, this is how I operate. Do I want to make the change? That's one of the biggest challenges, where people do not want to appreciate that yes, maybe the change has to come from inside, and you cannot even tell them that. The only way to understand that, when somebody is open to making some changes, that's where your emotional intelligence training begins to take effect. And yeah, I don't see these as multiple roles. I think they're all connected. So if I'm writing and I'm uh, training, or all of this is, if you can call it, if you can call me a business woman, sounds nice, but they're all interconnected. I think me as a person, I have many roles beyond this. But yes, everything is connected, and when you are stable emotionally, all of these things just fall in place. It's not as easy as I'm saying it right now. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes understanding, and it takes a want to do that. So, if you really want to be able to manage multiple roles, you're going to have to start with yourself. You're going to have to not allow somebody else to tell you that you need to do this. You need to tell yourself that. So, empathy and change has to come from inside. Motivation always is inside out, it's never from outside, and nobody can motivate you. You can get inspired, yes, but motivation to do something from that inspiration comes from inside. There is no two ways about that. The skills of emotional intelligence, again, empathy, motivation, these are the two things that you need. You need to be aware of your own emotions at a given point in time. When you are aware of your emotions, you will regulate them. When you regulate them, you will automatically be showing empathy to yourself. When you're showing empathy to yourself, motivation automatically happens. And when that happens, your social relationships improve. So these are the five components of emotional intelligence, which all work together. But the most important thing is, yes, believe in yourself to start, not falsely. After you put in the work, after you put in the research, after you put in the time, and you say, okay, now this is what I want to do. What skills do I need apart from emotional intelligence to make this work? So if you need to read, please read. If you need to build up on your skills of interpersonal skills, do that. Whatever you need to do as a freelancer, whatever role you are taking up as a freelancer, make sure you are good at it, so that you can stand up with confidence and tell people, this is how it is. So I'm not saying that I am the world's greatest expert in emotional intelligence, but yes, I have used it consistently. I have used it from my journey as a freelancer from the beginning to now, and that's what's held me in good stead, even in the face of rejection, even in the face where there are times when, you know, uh, I have just a couple of clients, which does get scary at times. So it's important to understand yourself before you expect somebody else to understand you. Well, again, I don't want to sound like some kind of motivational speaker or something, because I'm not. I'm a very down to earth. I'm a simple person. I'm just here to share what I am passionate about. I cannot tell you you should do this and you should do that. All I'm saying is, if you want to do something, the two things that you need is like or have passion for what you do. And two, have empathy for yourself first. When you have empathy for yourself, what you don't have, you cannot give to somebody else. So if you have empathy for yourself, then you will understand how you have to treat somebody else, and then you will do what you have to do in a better manner. So emotional intelligence plays a big role. And all I'm going to say is that if you want to do something, make sure you're very good at it, so you can stand up there and say, I know what I'm talking about. Because when you have confidence in what you're doing, when you know very well the subject that you're dealing with, then you can talk about it. And the more you talk about it and people listen, the more confidence you build. So if there are any more questions, I'd be happy to take them. But thank you so much for listening. It's helped me a lot to understand that my views could make a difference in somebody's life. If that's so, if you've taken anything away from this session, um, I'm so thankful that you've taken something away from this session, and thank you for listening to me, because it has helped me immensely. Thank you, Dr. Habib. Appreciate it.